Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking Lance Bankster, coming to you with one of my rare board game reviews. This is these don't happen very often. Mostly these happen because either I get a wild hair up my butt, or a good friend that I made in the board game industry reaches out, kind of out of the blue, and asks if I'm willing to take a look at a game and see what I think of it, and then maybe do a review if I like it. And that's exactly what this is. And this is actually a quick turnaround. I got this game like a week ago, and I managed to get it played, which is a rarity. I have trouble finding time to play games usually that aren't like with my work as a publisher. But here we go. I'm going to talk to you about this game. I don't have a game box for it, so hopefully I can get some art or whatever. But it's a game called Love Conquers All. And my friend Jeff Syedek sent this to me, the guy who owns and runs Guerrilla Games. And if you go on to Board Game Geek, you'll see a thing that says Guerrilla Games is a publisher that has an eclectic arrangement of publications, and that goes without saying. They've been around for quite a long time, and they're probably best known for battle stations and the battle stations, like kind of away parties game called Dirt Side. And I'm not going to talk about those games here. That's probably what they're best known for, and they're best, and also for Lifeboat, which is a really, really, really good game. But again, you can probably find those reviews actually on this channel if you want to see my thoughts on those, if you want to dig them up. But anyway, I'm here to talk about Love Conquers All because when he told me about this, and he actually said he's going to do a deluxe version of Lifeboat, which I'm super excited to see. And hopefully I'll do a video for that as well. But he said it was like a tile laying game. It was a cooperative tile laying game. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if this is going to be something I like. Turns out I did. I really enjoyed it. And for a lot of reasons, and I'll explain those in a little bit. But as always, let's take a pause here and let's go ahead and I'll show you how the game is played in my rambling fashion, as I always do. And then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I've enjoyed my plays of Love Conquers All. And yeah, and then maybe a little bit extra stuff too. But let's go to the gameplay. All right, so this is Love Conquers All. I got a big deck of cards here. I got these tiles that are all over the place with all these different colors, and I got the game board. These are obviously prototypes, so this is not indicative of what the game will look like once it is published. As I said, this is a cooperative game where the goal is that you have this deck of cards, and each one of these cards is represented by a tile, and you have to get through this deck of cards by placing like these tiles will have like it'll tell you which tile it is. Like this is the poverty card, and so you have to use the poverty tile, and it'll tell you a rule that is associated with that tile, and I'll talk about the rules here in just a little bit. And then you as a player, you have to place it on the board. Now, for the most part, you're allowed to place the tiles anywhere you want unless there is a rule that tells you that you have to do something different. To begin the game, the first two tiles that are placed have to be set on opposite corners. So if you're going to place two tiles, like you either have to be there or there or there or there. After that, the players are allowed to place whatever tiles they want, wherever they want, but they have to abide by the rules that are on the card that you're playing. And as you're playing, like each card that you play will have a different rule, and then that rule could affect what you're placing down later as more and more of these cards come out. The trick is that if you can get one of these love tiles placed, these will cause, like, so like this tile, this greed tile here. Like if that's placed next to a love tile, it gets flipped over and it gets erased. So, and then the player that had that card in front of them, it gets discarded. And so then they don't have to abide by that rule anymore. All right, so I'm just going to kind of show a little bit of a play, but I think you probably rocked it a little bit. So, so like here's like this inattention card. So the cards will have a name on it. It'll show you the size, like what it is, and it'll have a number on it. The number is important in some situations because there's certain cards that will say, rules that will say, you have to play your highest possible card that's in your hand, or you have to play a card that is of this size, or there has to be attached to a size of another card that's out there. So that's what those numbers are. And as you can probably tell, it says 5, and then there are 5 like boxes for inattention. And then there's a rule that it says, my plays cannot touch the cluster with the most squares. Now the cluster, what that means is that as these tiles start getting up against each other, like a cluster would be like if this and this tile were next to it, that would be a cluster. Those two would be there. And so if that's your card and that was a rule, my plays cannot touch the cluster with the most squares. So you have to make sure that the tiles you're placing out on the board do not touch that. But so let's just, so let's say I played first and I played Depression. My plays cannot touch more than 1 tile. So that's a rule that I'm going to have to abide by that's on there. And then I place that down, and then like I play Depression over here, and I'm just going to say the other player, I'm playing 2 players, and they play Money, and it's over there. And so now, when my next card is, and you have a hand of 5 cards. You get dealt 5 cards, and then after you play a card, you draw one and put it into your hand. And so if my next card was, so let's say I have this card. It says Distance. And it's a big, long 6, and my plays cannot touch the cluster with the most tiles. Well, right now, I couldn't play that because the clusters have 1 tile each, so that's the most tiles. So I couldn't play that one. So I'm going to just randomly draw another 3 here, 3. See, I have 5 in my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see, these are my 5 cards. So I have that Distance. I've already determined I can't play that. And that's how you lose, by the way. If you don't have a move on your turn that you can't do, then the game is over and everybody loses. Now, and I also should mention that when you have these cards in your hand, they are your information, and you can't explicitly say what your card is, but you can give like, oh, unfortunately I can't play, like you can give vague comments about it or whatever. You can't just say, these are my cards, what should I do? Whatever. So you see I have 1 card. I have a pink love card, and it is Trust, and choose another player to discard a card from the hand. That's a pretty powerful card. When I play this, I get the ability to tell somebody else, it's like, okay, you can discard a card from your hand, meaning they get to discard it, meaning that that's 1 tile we don't have to play. So here is like Isolation. It says, my plays must not touch anything but love or this tile. Luckily, it's like 1 little dot, so that, it would be one of those things that we can have it. And then, let's see, like Inattention and Parents. My plays must touch exactly 2 tiles. Now, this is one of those difficult ones where, because of Parents, like I can't, even though this is a large, big tile, I can't manage to get it close to 2 tiles. So I'm going to have to rely on my person saying, I need you to place a tile next to a tile that, so I can bridge a gap, so I can play a certain tile or what have you. Those are the kind of the conversations you get to have with people and try to describe how the game is played. All right, so I'm kind of all over the place here, and I apologize for that. But it's my turn, and I have to play this. So it's like, this is, my plays cannot touch the cluster with the most squares. So I'm going to play Inattention. So I'm going to grab Inattention. This cluster has 4 tiles. That one has 7 tiles. So now I'm going to place that. And also it abides by this rule that says my plays cannot touch more than 1 tile. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one down. Now, as you can see, my rules are growing and they're compounding, and it's going to become more and more difficult for me to abide by those rules compared to the cards. So now I just grab another card. It is the Poverty card, and it says, this one says, when I play it, after I play this, I'm going to have to play the smallest card in my hand. So that's another rule that I have to abide by. And as you can probably guess, these things are going to get a little more difficult. So and again, this isn't going to be strictly how the rules work, but I just want to show you how the love tiles work, and so you have kind of a grasp of that. So let's say then like distance got played over here by this player, and then maybe on my turn, I did finally, like, they couldn't have played distance because I had distance in my hand. They had impatience is what they had. Let's do that. So they had impatience. Let's go ahead. I almost cheated without realizing it. So let's say they did that, and they played impatience. But now, like, I'm able to play parents because I'm going to get rid of this big one because my plays have to touch 2 tiles. And so in this situation, I could go like this. Now, it's probably not a very optimal move, but I have to face 2 tiles. Oh, and I can't, that's actually wrong, because I can't apply it to the 2 clusters. And my plays cannot touch more than 1 tile. So actually, oh my gosh, I can't even play this. This is a horrible play on my part. All right, let's try this then instead. I'm going to show you how love works, because I need to be able to do this. So I can choose another player, so I'll tell the other player that they can discard one of their cards. And they have impatience in front of them as a rule. And when I play love, what I'm going to do is, well, actually, this is trust, I should say. So when I play trust, what that happens is I get to play this in a way that I cannot touch more than 1 tile. And I have to abide by that rule, even though I'm going to get rid of the rules here. And I want to get rid of depression, because not being able to touch more than 1 tile stuff, my plays cannot touch the cluster with the most squares. Well, this is the most squares. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this right here, and I'm going to flip over depression. And depression no longer affects me because I have trust. And this is kind of like the theme of the game, where as you gain love, love allows you to get rid of those bad feelings and allows you to not have to worry about inattention or depression or things, because somebody is showing you love. And that's like, and I like that theme, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then I'll draw another card, and then I get sickness, which is a rough one, and this one says my plays can't touch an edge. But this is how, when you have a love card out there, I'm just going to skip the other players just so I can show you this. When you have another love card out there, and my players cannot touch the cluster with the most squares, so just so I can actually do this, let's just put that there, even though that probably wouldn't happen. And but the love is out there, and love will stay out there. It's the love cards never flip over because they're the exact same on either side, so they never flip over. And that's important because what can happen then is if I have if I have this this poverty card or whatever, and I must play the smallest card in my hand. But if I play this and I put it down and I take the poverty tile, and this is actually, I just realized this is interesting. I can't play poverty because I actually have one of the only tiles that actually is. So first, my plays must not touch anything but love or this tile. So this is a kind of tricky one. But if I played that and I put that right there, now on my next turn, if my lowest tile is poverty, so I can play that, and I can put that down. And if I put poverty next to the love, it would flip it over. I'm not saying the trust, and this would flip over immediately. I still have to abide by that rule when I place that card down, but as soon as I do that, it's immediately discarded because it's next to that. And so, and I would draw another card, and I get grief. And now here's where it does get really, really tricky. But I'm going to see if I can pull this off. I don't know if it'll work. But yeah, look at this. I can actually play parents because I can actually touch 2 tiles, and notice how it's touching this, it's touching love, and then that would flip over immediately. So as you can see, that then you have those moments like that where you have these clever little situations where you can pull off like a really cool thing, and then you have this open space, and maybe another player has that perfect, like one that'll fit in there, like fear would fit in that spot, so you're not just closing off the area. So you have these cool things. Now, these are the base cards. And you might have noticed there's a lot of tiles out here but I didn't have as many cards. So here's the deck that I started with, and you know it's not a ton of cards, or but it's a fair number, and I've played this a few times, and I've definitely like you know we've definitely had a wins and losses playing it, but you do get a ton more cards as you can see, and then these cards actually have these diamonds on them, if you can see. And what the diamonds say is if these are like kind of the more advanced cards, and they have more advanced abilities. But the biggest thing is that these advanced cards have rules that are in black, and these affect everybody that's playing. So no plays may touch love. Love may still be played to touch anything. So and that affects everybody that's playing, not just the player that played the card. So it definitely makes things more difficult, and a lot more communication has to happen between you and the other players to make sure that you're not playing a card that is going to make it impossible for somebody to take a move. And there are rules to in the rules they actually show, because there's you can't play with all the tiles because it's just there's not enough space on the board. But in the rules it actually specifies how you create the deck and to ramp up the difficulty to make it easier or more difficult depending upon what kind of challenge you're looking for. So there you go. That I mean, it's not a super difficult game as far as the rules go. I mean, it's just get a hand of 5 cards and start playing tiles. But you just have to remember that you have to abide by the rule for the card that you are playing, and also any other cards that are affecting your turn, whether they are the cards that have the white background, which means it's just a rule that affects you, or if somebody has played a card that affects everybody's plays, you need to take that into effect as well. Game's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. I really like the theme. This is kind of an abstract, but I really enjoy the theme. And I'll tell you about that and the gameplay and everything else in my final thoughts. I'm like annoyed. I don't have a game box to throw and catch. So I have the sell sheet. The sell sheet for Love Conquers All. It's kind of the same thing. Anyway, I didn't even catch it. Here one more time. Oh, well, it's gone now. All right, so Love Conquers All. It's a cooperative game, and if you watch my video, if you watch my videos for a long time, and I've been doing this forever, you know that my one rule about any cooperative game is the first time I play it, it should kick my butt, and also basically if it should kick my butt repeatedly, and so when I do get a win, it feels like I succeeded, right? So like it's if you play a competitive game against 3 other people, I should win, and we're all the same ability. I should win 25% of the time, right? That's kind of like what I've always felt, and and it should feel like because I remember like the first time like they're like really tough cooperative games like that I've played before, and when you finally get that win after like losing 2 or 3 times in a row, you're like, yes, we pulled it off, and you get excited about it. And so yeah, Love Conquers All kicked my butt several times before. Actually, it was my son and I just the other night. We played a 2-player game, and we were actually able to win, which we were pretty excited because we had lost several times before that. And when I played it with like my hardcore gamer friends, we didn't win either. So anyway, I like it for that. It's challenging, and I like the gameplay makes sense. The rules that each tile has make sense. It can be like a little bit difficult for everybody to keep track of what's going on. I when I played with other people, I'd be like, "Hey, no, you can't play that." My son was really good at that. Like I would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna play this," and he's like, "You can't." Because of this rule, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right." And so this isn't a game where, just so you can make sure that your win is legitimate, I would strongly suggest everybody kind of being a part of it. When we played with the tougher cards, we made sure that we put like the cards that were affecting everybody, we put them right next to the board. So when you were getting ready to play a hand, you looked at all the rules that were affecting you, and were cognizant of those. So that really helped a lot. But as I said, it's a game you can teach in minutes. Well, anything. It could be 1,000 minutes. No, you can teach this game very, very quickly, 5-6 minutes. And everybody's going to grok it pretty quick, and everybody's going to have a good time. And especially if you like kind of an abstracty type thing. And tile laying polyomino games seem to be a thing that people are really enjoying right now. and this fits in that niche really, really well. I mentioned the theme when I was talking about how the game is played. I I can't help but feel like, yeah, the theme probably could have been anything or whatever, but I really it's kind of corny, admittedly, the theme Love Conquers All. But I felt it really felt like a good hit, right? And then, like it kind of like made me feel like I need to play this with like my family and things like that because I definitely could see this as a game that could bridge some of those situations where people could like either internally think about how their own personal issues with the themes that are brought up in this game, whether it is, like, money problems or grief or anxiety or whatever, and remind themselves that, like, yeah, you place a card that represents love, like trust or kindness or caring, and how that, like, injection of that from somebody, a family member or a friend who truly cares about and truly loves you, that comes into your life and is able to take that burden off of your shoulders and carry that load for you. And it I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't want to say I got super emotional playing it or anything like that, but it definitely did pull at some heartstrings, and I appreciated that a great deal. So it is super good game. It is quick to teach, quick to play. I mean, like when we got done playing him, my son and I, he's like, let's play again. And then when we got done playing again, he's like, let's play again. And that's when we finally won. So it definitely is something that the challenge is there, the desire is there, and it's just a solid, fun game, and I think it's really going to hit well. Like I said, if you have a close knit family group you can play with, I think the theme of it is going to add some extra poignancy to it as well. So. There you go. That is Love Conquers All. I'd hold up the sell sheet right now, but I dropped it behind me. Now I'm gonna talk. If you just wanted to watch the video about whatever, um, great, awesome, cool. I hope you back the game. Hope you get a copy. Please do it. Jeff and Gorilla Games they've been in the business for a super long time, and I just supporting them supports one of the mainstays of the hobby, and there you go. But this is the addendum, and you can watch this or not, but I'm just going to say, and I don't know how long this is going to take, but Jeff is one of my very, very first real friends I made in the board game hobby. I mean, and this is like going back when I first started my channel, when I first started talking about stuff, when I first started doing this channel, this conversation that I have. And my grand and I know Jeff has placed this on his Kickstarter page, and so I don't feel like I'm giving anything out. It's fairly public. He was diagnosed with cancer, and he's got a very, very upbeat, very positive attitude about this battle, and I have every belief in the world that I think he's going to beat this, and I think he's going to crush this, and he's going to be with us for many, many years to go. But I wanted to share some stories about Jeff, and I hope Jeff watches this, because I have kind of two stories about Jeff that of things in my interactions with him. And then I also want to just talk about a little bit about the other games. Like I remember when, like, when I first got into the hobby, like Battle Stations, like the original version, was a really, really difficult game to get a hold of. And I just thought that this would be a fantastic game, because it seemed like it was one of those games that bridged the gap between a role-playing game and a board game. And I had this idea that I could use, like, the board game aspect of Battle Stations to make a RPG campaign, in that, using, like, maybe the Star Wars West End role playing game system or whatever. But it was tough to get a hold of. It was tough to track down a copy of it, and I was never able to do so. And then I was super excited when the deluxe version of it came out, and that's a fantastic version of the game. And it is it's super good, and that and the dirt side like away mission stuff is really good as well. Um, and yeah, and I as I said before, Lifeboat, I think, is one of the most like both bizarre and well thought out like secret role slash objective games that you the negotiation and conversation games that you have. That's another one that I think is really really good that you could check out from Gorilla. But the stories. So one thing when I go to Gen Con and when Jeff would be there, it's Guerrilla Games, and so every once in a while I would just be standing at my booth back when I worked at Taste Municipal Games, and all of a sudden this gorilla would walk by, and it was Jeff. And in this gorilla suit that he would put on, and he would just go wander around Gen Con and go to find people that he knew and go mess at their booths and be weird and be a gorilla at your booth. And I would just laugh my butt off. And he managed to like he would never say a word. He would never do anything. He would just and like this is one of those like like if you watch like Trading Places like it's like in the gorilla suits they had it was that good. I mean it was like a really really nice gorilla suit and he would just wander around and I always thought that was funny that there was this guy that was a publisher who owned this company, and he just, took some time during a busy convention just to go wander around and mess with people that he knew. And so that would always make me happy. But the other thing, and and I don't know if Jeff even remembers this, but this is probably my favorite memory of Jeff, other than the conversations we've had. So Gamma Trade Show is a publisher event that you go to show off your games, and mostly the people that go to Gamma Trade Show are people that own game stores. And so you go there and you show off your games and you say these are the cool things. And in some cases, like you can get them to order those games through your distributor or whatever, so they can like have those games delivered to their store so they can sell them. And it's a big splash event. There's gatherings and meetings and dinners and all these kind of crazy things. But you do have a booth, and it's like, but it's weird. It isn't like a booth like at a Origins or a Gen Con or whatever, where you have people coming up to your booth and buying games or doing anything like that. What it is just it's you have people coming up and saying, oh, it's like these are the games that sell really well at my store. Do you have anything new coming out for those games? And you kind of get a feel for what the market has, but you also make some really good connections with people as well. But what a lot of these people would do, and it isn't just game stores, people that make dice or people that make just anything geek related will be a Gamma Trade Show. And they uh, would have at the end of because like most of them would like send a small amount of stock to show off, and then they would give that stuff away at the end of the show. And a lot of game stores would like, oh, it's like, do you have can I get these, and they can have them as demo copies at their stores, and they would be able to like show off those games, and it would be a good way for you also to get those connections with those stores. But some of the places they would have like a lot of extra stock, and what they would do is that they would in during meetings or when they met certain people, they'd give tickets away. And then people at the end of the thing, they draw tickets, and then they would give out the prizes, and the prizes would be like, oh, here's like 20 dice packs, or here's like 5 role-playing game books or a board game or whatever. It doesn't matter. And I remember I was sitting in my booth at Gamma Trade Show, and I was looking over, and it was the last day, and basically this company, I don't remember what it was. I mean, I truthfully I don't remember the name of the company. I have no idea what it was, so don't ask. I'm not trying to hide it to protect them in any way. Not that they need protection, but they had given out, I don't know, dozens of these tickets to these people, and there was this crowd of people that were just gathered at this. I mean, and it's like, and normally you don't have a ton of people at a booth because it's like I said, it's a trade show and it's just game store owners. But now they had a reason to all converge on this one spot. And Jeff had the misfortune of having a location that was right next to that spot, right? His booth was right next to that. And there was this spillage of these people that were like basically knocking over everything that was in his booth. And I remember I was just seeing him, and I mean, there would be no way on earth that I would have been able to keep my cool in that situation. I mean, maybe now I would because I'm older and wiser or whatever, but uh, as he watched these people like kind of just like tramping on through his booth and knocking his stuff over and what have you, he was just sitting in this chair and he was just kind of looking over, and these people would like just be bumping his chair, trying to like get past him or whatever, like like messing up his demo booth and demo table that we had set up. And I looked over and he caught my eyes, and I looked over and I was just shaking my head, and he just smiled. He just sat there and smiled and just let these people. And then even worse, like I think they had like, oh, we have a few extras and we don't have tickets anymore, and so they were just like throwing like dice packs out or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. And these people were like diving for it and making an even larger mess of his booth. And he just didn't. He sat there with this like amused grin on his face as these people just went nutballs all over his stuff. And that's kind of my memory of Jeff. But anyway, I wanted to share those just because Jeff's a really good guy. He's one of the he's an innovator. He's a creator, and if you can, I don't know, like I said, I'm not saying trying to give that to like say that's why you should go back to the game or anything like that, but um, I just wanted to kind of maybe add a little bit of a human element to the game, if you will. So I hope I didn't overstep my bounds. I hope that's a problem, but whatever. And if Jeff sees this and he wants me to take it off, I'll take it off by all means, no problem, no issues, no whatever. And you won't even see this. So what does it matter? All right. So there you go. Love Conquers All. It's on Kickstarter right now. Go check it out. Strongly suggest it. It is a really, really fun game. Until next time on the Undead Viking, take care of yourself. Be a good friend to yourself. Be a good person to yourself. And we'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.